Well, Nompo, in just a few moments, we'll have executives from the CRL Commission who are currently in a meeting, briefing the media in just about 10 minutes' time. They'll talk to us a bit about what they've decided, what kind of interventions would be needed to try and deal with the scourge that is currently happening in the Eastern Cape. You would know in that particular province, over the past 5 years, there have been 500 initiates that have already died, and that figure that you just spoke of already for December, which clearly indicates that despite the educational programs and authorities as well as those in leadership in that province going out before the initiation season starts, you still have a situation where young boys continue to die when they have to go through the rites of passage. So the CRL Commission will be speaking to journalists here today about what possible interventions could be put on the table. The situation is so serious that over the past couple of hours, or we should rather say over the past 2 days, then Nompu, you've had some of the leadership in the Eastern Cape, the Premier of that province, Oscar Mabuyane, who had visited several initiation schools. And when I spoke to his spokesperson yesterday during one of our programs on the SABC, they indicated that they're shocked by some of the things that they have found, that parents, for example, are still not verifying whether some of these initiation schools are registered. And there was a huge call for communities to be involved in ensuring that these young boys are not being taken to these initiation schools that are not registered. There are some myths, for example, where you'd find that what is being found is that most of these boys are dying as a result of dehydration. And when I spoke to the spokesperson of the Office of the Premier in the Eastern Cape yesterday, he indicated that these are some of the myths that they're trying to deal or get rid of, because they've had several meetings together with the traditional leadership in the Eastern Cape, as well as the Health Department that has also been quite involved in these talks and visiting these initiation schools. So what you find at the moment is that if you're talking about, for example, a medical initiation, which is something that has been put on the table at the moment, you're having a bit of an impasse between the traditional leadership as well as the Health Department. These are some of the things that they're going to have to traverse in order to find an amicable solution to what is currently happening in that province at the moment. You would know that this has been reoccurring. This is a conversation, Nompo, that we keep having every single time during this time of the year. So the CRL Commission, which is about to adjourn its meeting now, will brief the media on what some of these proposed initiatives would be to try and sort out what we're seeing in that province currently. I also know that over the past decade, I was speaking to my colleague in the Eastern Cape just a few moments ago, over the past decade, you've had about 1,000 initiates who have died at these initiation schools. So it really paints a picture of a dire situation where you'd need to have the provincial government in that province, together with the traditional leadership, sit down and try and find a solution together with the communities themselves, who, according to the conversation I had yesterday with authorities in that province, communities are really being urged, to stay away from initiation schools that have not been verified, because illegal initiation schools are still some of the key challenges that that province is facing. So while you have the authorities themselves out to try and arrest some of these bogus schools or initiation schools, the health authorities are also on the ground to try and see what best can be done together with authorities or the executives in that particular province. But certainly a solution needs to be found to what we're seeing currently, because it has been reoccurring and it does not seem to be letting up, because as we continue over several years, you can sort of see that there is no decline in the number of initiates who are dying at these initiation schools.
Of that story, especially when they come back with that media briefing, my colleague there, Chriselda Lewis. On the